I had one job for somebody else when I was a kid at a restaurant, but I started in the bagel route business on Sunday mornings when I was 13 years old. Me and my brother bought bagels at the Sunday store and then repackaged them and delivered bagels and cream cheese and New York Times to people. I've been working for myself my whole life. So it's not like I was one moment where I said and I never really thought of myself as an entrepreneur or anything like that. I just started working. If I had to think of one event, we went from the bagel business to the parking lot striping business when we were probably 16 and 18 respectively. And we paid our way through college, striping the yellow and white and lines you see in parking lots and the blue handicaps. We did that through college and paid our way through college. And then if there was one pivotal moment, I got a really good job offer coming out of college to go to work for General Electric, which at that time was a really hot firm, like a Microsoft firm back when I was growing up, and moved to San Francisco. And it was a really prestigious job. And I turned it down and continued striping parking lots. And the career advisor actually called my parents to ask them if they knew that I had received the job and that what I was doing, because it was a prestigious opportunity. So if there was one moment, it was that moment, and I didn't want to wear a tie, and I said, screw it, and I striped parking lots. I've never paved. I've never been on a machine. I have trucks. I have hundreds of trucks. I've never been in one of them. To me, it was just about making money in the game. I didn't care what it was. It was just a game. I was just playing the game to play the game. We grew the striping business to probably the largest parking lot striper that I knew of in the state of Michigan. We were doing all the Kmarts and all the Myers, and we were subcontracted to all the paving companies. And it was a good sized business. I think we were grossing about $800,000 a year when I was 28 years old. The hours in which you have to stripe parking lots are really weird. Sundays, nights. I was getting married. I had been married. I think I got married 2 years before. I didn't want to work those hours. We couldn't grow it anymore. So we really had two options, or three options. One, stay doing what we were doing, which was fine. That wasn't an option for us. Two is to go in the roadway striping business. Or three, we bought a dump truck and an asphalt roller and started patching parking lots. And then it proceeded from there. So it was just a desire to grow and sort of tapped out at where we're at and to change your hours so that I could work a more normal life. So that's why we did what we did. We had a lot of contacts in the parking lot, the property owners and most people, because we were striping parking lots for everybody. So we had a whole bunch of contacts, and we're just exploiting the opportunities and the contacts we already had and learning a new trade. We originally started, my brother and I have been partners forever. We originally started with a third guy who knew the paving business a little bit, who taught us a little bit about it before we eventually split paths with him. So it wasn't like it was a lot of thought. We just leaped, as you call it. I think I have fears every day. So I still do. I did then, I do now. So the fear is a motivator for me. So not like a freak out fear, no, but I was always scared. Of course, when you first buy your first trucks and your rollers and you're signing credit lines, and we had several scares along the way, real financial scares. But I get nervous every day. I'm not nervous, but fear is a motivator, and it always has been for me. It's fear, but I control it extremely well. I always looked at work like a coat. Like if you're leaving your house in the morning, I put my work coat on and I go to work. And then when I go home, I take my coat off, I put it in the closet and focus on my wife and my kids. It's a skill set that I think you have to have and you have to develop if you're going to have any sense of balance in life. And I realized at a very young age, I needed to develop that skill set, or one, my marriage would fall apart. I wouldn't be a good father. So very long ago, I learned how to do it, and I've done it my whole life, and I still do it to this day. And I just do it. It's a skill, just like learning how to do a computer or doing spreadsheets. It's a skill. So you have to learn to control your emotions. And that's what I did at a young age. I got excited not when we got the sale. I got excited when I figured out how much money we made from the job that we did. So I would do big into costing. So we would sell a job for $50,000, and I realized, oh my God, we made $15,000. That's when I got excited. So when we executed the plan, so I never really got too excited with the sale. I got excited with the profit. I'm not there yet. In fact, I just wrote an email this morning to my coworker, partner. Complacency is the most worst word in the English language for me. So I don't think I've arrived at all. and I hope I never do. So I'm satisfied. I'm happy, but not satisfied. So I've not arrived yet, and I'm still cranking. Not having a vision, I've never not had a vision. I call it PPP, proper planning prevents poor performance. So I spend an hour a week, every week, thinking about what I'm trying to accomplish, short term and long term. And then I spend a week by myself every year making plans. So I'm a big planner. So I've never not had a vision. And I think that's crazy, not just in your business, but in your life. So I've had it my whole life, and I'm going to continue to do it all forever. Hiring the wrong people, of course. We've all hired the wrong people. I make those mistakes now, but I'm pretty much better at it. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's hiring people, but I've certainly made mistakes doing that. Not spending time with your people, never not made that mistake. The people are everything. So I do it called management by walking around. I always walk around. I show a lot of respect to everybody, not because it's an act, because I really do respect the work that people do. So I've never really not made that mistake. Not knowing who the customer is, I've always known who the customer is. But the customer is not just the guy who pays us, it's our employees too. So I always look at our employees as our customers too, and we have to service them, because without them, I can't service the customer. Ultimately, you have to, job costing is so critical in understanding the cost. So there's been times where we haven't costed enough for our services and it was too hard. We didn't fully understand the market, so it took us a while to do it. Not staying true to your core, I'd say never. I've been consistent with what my values are from the very beginning, and I won't waver from them at all under any circumstances. Not knowing your numbers, no, I know my numbers like clockwork. Knowing them my whole life. Job costs, we've not charged enough, but we figured it out. So I really think that a lot of people run businesses to run businesses. I run businesses to make money. So I keep track and always have kept track and always will. And then you said not crystallizing roles and responsibilities. Yes, I've been guilty of that and still am. So I waver all over the place because I want to work hard like the people work hard. So I haven't been able to pull back like some other people have, because everyone's working and I'm pushing everyone to work hard. I feel like I need to contribute as a team member like everybody else. So other guys in my position probably wouldn't do the same things I do, but as a leader, I feel like I need to, and I haven't been able to get away from that. And that's probably a bad thing and a good thing. The first mentor, and I'm sure most people say this, or maybe they don't, was my father. So he helped us when we were doing the striping business, not with money, but with guidance. And he was an entrepreneur guy, not an entrepreneur, but he ran a small business himself. But I also realized at a very, very young age that I was going to pass it real quick. So, I remember when I fired, we had his CPA firm, but they always looked at me as, a son, not as who I was. My dad's name was Sid. So I was always Sid's son. I wasn't Dan. So when I was like 26 or 27 years old, I decided to fire the CPA and fire my dad's broker, because they always looked at me like that. And I knew that I had confidence, and I didn't want them to think of me like that. So my first real thing with my dad was when I fired his two key advisors and got my own guys. And so but my dad was my mentor, up until, and then he still was until he passed away. After my dad passed away and during the course of business, I found different people, limited, not included, to competitors that were really good. You watch companies and you respect people that honor their word, people that do a good job. We've had great advisors. Our UHY, which is our CPA firm advisor, has been a great advisor. Our lawyer has been a great advisor. I have up in my wall back over there 10 rules of business survival, and one of them is to get a great sounding board of advisors. And the next rule is don't listen to them. So go with your gut. And I've always done that. I've listened to everybody, but I've made my own decisions. I certainly burn the candle at both ends a lot, both with family, especially when you have young kids growing up that were athletic and in sports and running the business. But I never looked at it like a nightmare. I don't think like that. So I just get up and go every day. I have a plan, and I dream about things that I want to do and goals. And as soon as I click one, I go get another one. So it was never a nightmare. My life never had a nightmare experience. I had issues, believe me, I had 1995 and then the recession of 2008. But I was lucky enough to have a really great wife and a couple kids that really have great relationships with me. So I was always pretty grounded in that regards. And that always, kept me cool because I always knew that I had them. But there were scary moments, but not nightmares. The sense of accomplishment you get when you accomplished your goals. And that's everybody gets excitement out of something. So mine is creating a goal and getting it accomplished and going after it, and that sense of accomplishment. And, and being able to provide for your family. And my wife now says, you've provided for us, you can cool it. And I don't want to cool it. So now I'm planning for the next generation and I'm enjoying it. Make sure it's something you want to do because it's a life, not a job. People have jobs but this is a life. And you got to live that life and want to be willing to make, I don't call them sacrifices. Everybody says they're sacrifices. You got to make the choices to decide this is what you're going to do. And you got to be passionate about it. And it's not for the faint of heart. I mean, if you want a job, go get a job. If you want a career and really get excited, you got to have guts. You got to, and be willing to do everything you can to whatever it takes. If you listen to that show, Shark Tank, they always say, hey, are you totally committed? I'll invest in you if you're I think you got to be totally committed. So you can have a good idea, but if you're not totally committed, go and get away, because you gotta be all in, both feet. Still have life outside of it, but so that's my advice. If you're going to be in and be prepared for a little ride, because the security of a job and a paycheck is not always going to be there. But in the long run, if you can get through it, you'll get through it and you'll have way more than a paycheck. I've never had a paycheck. I don't work for paychecks. I work for profits.